Noah's Ark was not a boat. It was a floating building the size of a modern aircraft carrier, crammed with thousands of animals, 8 human beings, and enough food to last over a year, all built by one family by hand in the middle of a desert. And that is just the part everyone agrees on. What the Bible actually describes when you read it carefully is so extreme, so logistically insane, and so far from the Sunday school version that most people have never heard the real story until right now. Genesis chapter 6 gives us the exact dimensions of the ark, and they are staggering 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, 30 cubits tall. A cubit is roughly 45 centimeters, the length of a forearm. Run those numbers and you get a vessel approximately 135 meters long, 22 meters wide, and 13 meters tall. To put that in perspective, the ark was longer than an American football field. It had 3 decks. Its total floor space was roughly 9,000 square meters, equivalent to 20 standard basketball courts stacked inside a wooden hull. Naval engineers who have studied the biblical dimensions have noted that the proportions, the ratio of length to width to height, are nearly identical to modern cargo ship design, not approximately, nearly identical. The same ratio that 20th century engineers arrived at through decades of hydrodynamic testing was written in Genesis thousands of years earlier. And Noah built it with no power tools, no cranes, no lumber yards. His family felled trees, cut planks, and assembled a structure that would not be matched in wooden shipbuilding until the 19th century. The Chinese treasure ships of Admiral Zheng He in the 1400s were roughly comparable in size. Nothing else in the ancient world comes close.
If this is already surprising you, hit that like button. It helps more people find this video.
Now, for the question that makes most people dismiss the whole story. How did Noah fit millions of animal species on one boat? The answer starts with what the text actually says. Genesis chapter 7 specifies that God told Noah to bring 2 of every kind. The Hebrew word is min, which translates closer to kind or type than to our modern scientific word species. Biologists today recognize that a single ancestral kind can contain dozens or even hundreds of what we now call species. Dogs, wolves, coyotes, and foxes, for example, all belong to the same original canine kind. Noah would have needed 2 canines, not 2 of each of the 37 distinct species we classify today. Zoologist John Woodmarap studied this question in detail and estimated that the ark would have needed to carry approximately 16,000 individual animals to represent every biblical kind. With the ark's floor space of 9,000 square meters across 3 decks, that works out to roughly 1 animal per 1.7 square meters. Tight, but workable. And the vast majority of land animals are small. The average size of all land vertebrates is roughly that of a sheep. The massive animals, elephants, giraffes, hippos, are the exception, not the rule. And there is no reason they could not have been brought as juveniles. What about the fish, the insects, the sea creatures? The text only specifies land-dwelling, air-breathing animals. Sea creatures survive a flood in the sea. Most insects are small enough that thousands could exist naturally in the wood and stored food. The logistical problem, while enormous, is significantly more manageable than the popular version of the story suggests. And the rain started, and it did not stop for 40 days and 40 nights. Genesis 7 describes something beyond ordinary rain. The text says the fountains of the great deep burst open and the floodgates of the sky were opened, both sources simultaneously. Water from above and water erupting from below. Geologists who have studied the biblical flood account have noted that this dual source description aligns with what a catastrophic rupture of underground water reservoirs combined with massive atmospheric precipitation would look like. The water rose and rose and rose until it covered every mountain. Genesis 7:20 states the water stood 15 cubits above the highest mountains. Whether that refers to the highest mountains on earth or the highest mountains of the known world in that region is a question theologians and geologists debate. What is not debated is the scale of the catastrophe described. And then, silence. The ark floating, 8 people, thousands of animals. Complete destruction of everything they had ever known. Visible from the windows of a wooden vessel drifting on an endless ocean. Here is the part that almost no one talks about. After the 40 days of rain, the Bible says they were on the ark for a total of 370 days.
Over a year, 12 and a half months inside a floating wooden structure, feeding thousands of animals, managing waste, maintaining order, keeping each other sane. With no contact with the outside world, no land visible, no way of knowing if they would ever touch ground again. Think about what that does to a person psychologically. These were not trained soldiers or professional sailors. They were a family, a grandfather, his sons, their wives, and they endured over a year of this together. After 150 days, the water began to recede. The ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, which modern scholars locate in the region of eastern Turkey and Armenia. Noah waited. Then he opened a window and released a raven. It flew back and forth but found nowhere to land. Then he sent a dove. It returned with nothing. He waited 7 more days and sent it again. This time it came back with an olive leaf in its beak, fresh, green, alive. After over a year of water and wood and darkness, a single olive leaf was the most beautiful thing any of them had ever seen. He sent the dove a 3rd time. It did not return. It had found land. It had found life. It had found a world beginning again. And then God told Noah to leave the ark, and when he stepped out, the first thing he did was build an altar and give thanks. Not celebrate his own survival, not inventory what he had saved, give thanks. And God responded with a promise, sealed with a rainbow, that this would never happen again. The rainbow was not decorative in the ancient Near East. A bow was a weapon of war. When a warrior laid down his bow, it was a symbol of peace. God placing his bow in the clouds was the image of a warrior declaring, "I am at peace with you. The storm is over." The bow points upward, away from the earth. This promise is for every generation that has ever looked up at a rainbow since. Before we close, here are 3 facts about Noah's Ark that most people have never heard. First, flood stories exist in virtually every ancient culture on Earth. The Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh describes a global flood, a boat, animals saved in pairs, and a bird sent to find land. Written centuries before the biblical account was compiled into its current form. The Sumerian king list records a flood that divided early human history into 2 eras. Hindu texts describe a flood survived by a righteous man named Manu. Native American tribes across North and South America have flood traditions. Chinese ancient texts reference a great flood survived by a single family. The flood is not a Jewish story or a Christian story. It appears to be a human story, a memory encoded in the traditions of civilizations that had no contact with each other. Second, the wood Genesis specifies that the ark was built from gopher wood. Nobody knows exactly what gopher wood is. The Hebrew word appears only once in the entire Bible, right here in this passage. Some scholars suggest cypress, others propose cedar or a resin-coated wood now extinct. The specific material was chosen for a reason significant enough to be preserved in the text, and we have been unable to identify it for centuries. Noah was 600 years old when the flood began. His grandfather Methuselah was 969 when he died. The oldest human lifespan recorded in scripture. His son, Shem, lived to 600. These lifespans are so extreme that scholars have proposed everything from different calendar systems to pre-flood atmospheric conditions that extended human cellular life. Nobody has a definitive answer, but the text is specific, and specificity in ancient texts is usually a sign that someone was recording something they believed actually happened. Subscribe to Faith E Legacy for episode 2 of Bible in Lego, coming very soon. Drop a comment. What story should we cover next?
Whether you read Noah's Ark as literal history, as ancient allegory, or as a story still waiting for its full explanation, one thing is difficult to dispute. This account has shaped human civilization more than almost any other single narrative. It is the reason we have a word for catastrophe. It is the story embedded in the traditions of cultures that should have had no contact with each other. It is the blueprint for a vessel whose proportions match modern engineering. And it is the story of one man, one family, one act of obedience in the face of something completely incomprehensible. And what came out the other side? The rainbow is still there, every time it rains. Whether you read Noah's Ark as literal history, as ancient allegory, or as a story still waiting for its full explanation, one thing is difficult to dispute. This account has shaped human civilization more than almost any other single narrative. It is the reason we have a word for catastrophe. It is the story embedded in the traditions of cultures that should have had no contact with each other.
It is the blueprint for a vessel whose proportions match modern engineering. And it is the story of one man, one family, one act of obedience in the face of something completely incomprehensible. And what came out the other side? The rainbow is still there, every time it rains.